Our first guest tonight is a best-selling author and comedian whose new comedy special, Revolution, will premiere on Netflix December 27th. Please welcome back to the show one of our favorites, Chelsea Handler, everybody. It's so lovely to have you here.
Oh, my God. I'm always happy to be with you, Seth.
And it's kind of, it was maybe a little angsty the beginning of last week, and here we are, 6 days after the midterms. How are you feeling?
Oh, God. Well, you know I'm a staunch Republican.
Yeah.
And
yet you keep your spirit up.
I know. I'm so woke that I've become a Republican. I was pretty excited. It's a pretty exciting time. It's been a long time since I've watched an election where I was, like, surprised and hopeful. And then there's just so many doorknobs that are also involved in this election, like Herschel Walker and Lauren Boebert. And I'm just like, Republicans have completely lost the plot. So to see them actively losing their ground and thinking about just Trump pacing back and forth at Mar-a-Lago just gave me so much joy.
I did have empathy for Tiffany Trump on her wedding day, that was when I think Nevada was called while he was probably at the wedding.
Yeah, but she was, for her to get married at her father's place was a mistake to begin with.
Yeah.
Because, it's not like, I'm sure he charged her,
Yeah. Yeah.
So why, she's not thinking things through. She's marrying some guy who comes from a very rich family. She needs to cut ties now and just be done with him.
If anything, she should have scheduled a wedding at Mar-a-Lago, but had the real wedding elsewhere, right? Get him going to a place, because he would have stayed there, and it would have taken hours before he realized the wedding wasn't happening.
But also, can you imagine trying to celebrate with him about anything, even if he was in a good mood? This is an opportunity for her to find her real birth father, Now that she's married, she can sever ties and go live a full life where she's treated like, not a marginalized member of a family.
This is good advice, and I want to draw attention to the fact that it makes natural sense to me that you're good advice. You started a podcast where you're now giving advice to people.
I do. I like to give advice.
Yeah.
Because whether it's solicited or unsolicited.
That's what everyone appreciates about you. You don't have to ask. You just get it.
No, yeah. And I love to, give girls a little bit more power when you're feeling insecure. As women, we go through so many different phases of our lives where we feel self-confident and then we second-guess ourselves. And I'm just like, I want women to be empowered, Also, when you see something, to say something. And I use a story that I like to tell as a guideline for all people, to say something, even if it's a very awkward situation.
Okay.
I once accidentally had dinner with Woody Allen and Soon Yi.
Okay.
And
how does that come about by accident?
Well, I blame Katie Couric, because she's the one who invited me out that night. And then before I knew it, I was sitting across from Soon Yi and Woody Allen. And as a woman, knowing what I know, that was hard for me. I was like, I don't trust myself because I can't really be respectful,
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going to come out of my mouth, if I was going to be able to control myself. But I was like, just wait, wait your time and just bide your time and just, be pleasant and be respectful during this dinner encounter. And I waited and I was patient and I exercised patience. And then dessert came and they put down a blackberry cobbler in front of Soon Yi and Woody went to take a bite out of the blackberry cobbler. And I leaned in and said, how did you two meet?
That's that's an assassin's patience.
I slept like a baby that night. You know what I mean? I was just like, you know what? And then Katie's like, okay, Chelsea, time to go. And but I feel like women need to always be able to, because if I had left that dinner and I hadn't said anything, I would have been so pissed at myself for years to come.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm a good big sister and I want everyone to succeed. And I just want everybody to be a little smarter and a little braver.
Well, that's wonderful advice. You went out. We were talking backstage. You toured this hour. You have a new hour that's coming out soon called Revolution.
Revolution,
I think
Netflix, 2 days after Christmas.
Almost. Was it 100 cities or thereabouts?
Yeah, I did about 120 dates. I'm finishing up my last bit of this tour. I'm actually headed to Florida, so I can't wait to see how that works out this weekend, everybody. All the Democrats in Florida, I'm coming.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, there's about 4 left. So, I've been touring, and first of all, I love touring. You love stand-up. We both love doing it. Yeah.
And you shot it in Nashville, right?
Uh-huh,
That's
yeah.
a great comedy town.
It's a great theater, the Ryman in Nashville. So I loved, you know, I had so much material from COVID and from just all the stuff that happens during COVID, you know, and all of like, just how we all behaved, how embarrassing it was, starting with yourself. You know, I was Windexing my food up until recently. So, you know, and now you're just like, what, COVID? What's that? I was excited for monkeypox to take off, but that didn't seem...
I'm sorry, I know you were real. You were one of the early investors.
Yeah, I know. It's just like Bitcoin. It's just one big bubble.
Yeah, monkey coin did not work out for me. You actually talk a little bit about being a businesswoman at a very young age in your special and the fact that you started a babysitting service.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was 10 years old, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, you guys. So when I was born, my family was just like, you know, let her raise herself, I guess. They were sleeping most of the time, and they just had been exhausted by my other siblings. So when I was 10, I took my first plane ride to California to visit our grandparents. And it was my mom and like 2 of my brothers. And I had never been on a plane. So we walked past the first class section, and I was like, oh, like, who are these people? You know, and my mom's like, never mind that. You know, we have 6 kids in our family. We can't afford that, and we'll never fly first class. And I'm just like, speak for yourself, you know? And we went to go visit my grandparents. We came home, and I was like, I have to start a business. So I started a babysitting company. I was 10 years old, but I looked like I was 15. So I lied and said I was 15 and ended up babysitting for kids that were older than me. As a 10-year-old, I had a regular client who was 14, and I was basically putting this kid in timeouts all summer long. But I saved up like $3,500, and then the next time we went on a plane ride, it was 3 years later. I was 13 years old, and I had gotten a first-class ticket from a travel agent that lived down the street. And so when we boarded the plane with my mother and my 2 sisters this time, I saw my seat 2A, and I said, see you guys at the end of the flight.
I have a great deal more to ask you. We'll be right back with more from Chelsea Handler.